Hey, true crime fanatics, this is Claire.
And I'm Andy.
You're tuned in to the Homicide Hobbies podcast, which is a podcast for people who love to hear about the horrendous crimes that people commit. Enjoy.
All right, ready.
Where are we headed today?
Today we'll be in a place that is home to approximately 40 million residents, which is about
China.
1/8 of the U.S. population and more than the entire population of Canada. This place is the birthplace of the internet. The first message was sent in 1969. Any guesses?
I said China.
You're sticking with China?
Well, I'm waiting for a real hint.
These are real hints. Oh, okay. So this place has an area that.
Did you just laugh at your own hint?
Because you said you're waiting for a real hint. So here's a real hint for you.
It's got 40 squirrel breeds.
No, but they do have a law that fines people for molesting butterflies.
I'm concerned at what's going on wherever you're at. California, huh?
It is. Oh, my last hint was in 1925. A 300-foot sequoia tree in one of the parks was named the National Christmas Tree. Today, we'll be in California on Christmas in 2008.
Oh, a fairly recent one.
Yeah. Christmas Eve should be a night of joy, togetherness, sugar cookies, and awkward family arguments about who cheated at Monopoly.
What? Well, I guess everybody can have their tradition. Monopoly is like a Christmas Eve thing.
I don't know.
Yeah. But family time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be
happy.
Minor things. Family. Got it.
But in 2008, in Los Angeles suburb of Covina, California, Christmas Eve became a horror film written by someone who really hated the holiday season and family togetherness. This is the story of Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, a man who dressed up as Santa Claus, rang a doorbell, and then turned the most festive night of the year into a furnace of bullets and fire. 9 people are going to die, 3 more are going to be injured, and dozens of lives were shattered. It's a crime scene that was so catastrophic that forensic investigators had to separate melted ornaments from human remains.
Oh, did he torch the house?
I'm not telling you that yet. Before Bruce rang a doorbell in Covina dressed as Santa, he was, at least on paper, the kind of guy that you wouldn't expect to hear about in a true crime podcast. He wasn't a career criminal. He has no criminal history or any sort of rap sheet, no prior arrests, no whispers of deviant behavior. By all appearances, Bruce was a suburban success story. He was a computer engineer in his 40s with a house, a wife, a dog, a job, and the kind of bland reliability that you'd want if you were hiring someone to fix your Wi-Fi. But that neat resume was a mask. Underneath it was a man unraveling financially, emotionally, and psychologically. Bruce was born on March 23rd, 1963 in San Fernando Valley. His family wasn't wealthy, but he was smart and studious. He was considered gifted with technology, and by most accounts, he was unremarkable growing up. He was smart, very technologically minded, but never the center of attention. He had a knack for electronics, for taking things apart and being able to put them back together. That gift led him to study engineering. He landed work in the aerospace and IT fields and eventually carved out a career in ITT electronic systems and even the jet propulsion laboratory. Those kinds of jobs that impress people at cocktail parties. He was the kind of employee who could bury himself in schematics and codes, but he wasn't exactly Mr. Charisma around the office. You know, the type of guy who gets invited to the Christmas potluck, but nobody's really sure if he's even there.
Oh.
Bruce wasn't exactly building a happy life, though. In the early 2000s, Bruce began dating a woman, and the relationship resulted in the pair having a son.
Oh.
Eventually, he abandoned his relationship and his kid because he wants to win the award for biggest piece of shit ever. He also never paid child support for that son.
So they're handing out those awards as jail sentences.
No, she was one of those women that she was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'd rather just not have you involved than have to deal with you. So that detail alone should tell you the kind of man we're going to be discussing. But by his 40s, Bruce seemed to have settled into his middle class comfort. He owned a house in Montrose, California. He had a steady paycheck and he had his own little hobbies. By 2004, Bruce met a woman who was vivacious and from a big, tight-knit Latino family. Her name was Sylvia Ortega. By the time Bruce was in his early 40s and Sylvia was in her mid-40s, both old enough to have lived through messy relationships, both still hoping for a fresh start. The Ortegas were opposite of Bruce. They were loud, social, rooted in each other. They loved to throw parties, eat, drink, celebrate everything together. For Bruce, it was probably intoxicating at first. Typically, Bruce was on his own. Sylvia's family life revolved around their sprawling gatherings with food, laughter, and enough side conversations to drown out a jet engine.
I don't even know what that means.
So I think it's just, you got to really grasp the fact that Bruce is a loner and Sylvia is definitely not. She's super social, she's very outgoing, and she is super close to her very large family. And they get together and celebrate everything because that's just the way they are. So at first, for Bruce, it's like, this is amazing. I absolutely love this. In January of 2006, Bruce and Sylvia decide to get married. Bruce at this point is 42, Sylvia's 44. On paper, it looked like stability.
Except he still lived in the basement.
No, he has his own place. I said he done bought a house. On paper, it looked like stability. Two adults past the whirlwind of youth and ready to settle into something lasting. And for Sylvia, bringing Bruce into her orbit meant surrounding him with the kind of family he never had, loud, loving, and close. And for a time, Bruce played along. He was the husband showing up at family barbecues, the polite outsider smiling through the noise, but almost as quickly as the wedding photos were framed, the cracks began to show. Bruce became controlling, stingy, and resentful of Sylvia's family. Sylvia confided in her family that he wasn't the man she thought she'd married. After about a year or so of marriage, the relationship had completely soured. Bruce was miserable to be around, extremely controlling, and emotionally absent. The pair began to argue over literally anything and everything. One in particular was money. Those battles over money turned into battles of control. Sylvia accused him of hiding money, which Bruce countered, accusing her of bleeding him dry. By early 2008, Sylvia had had enough. She filed for divorce. Only after the divorce papers were filed was Bruce's history dragged out into the open. There was a part of Bruce's life Sylvia did not know about, something he kept buried deep, like a skeleton in the basement.
Is it a skeleton in the basement?
It's not. It's that Sylvia did not know Bruce had fathered a son.
Whoa, I was kind of curious if she knew about the whole he just ditched.
She sure didn't. But that wasn't all she didn't know about. Apparently,
Hold up. How long were they together before they got divorced?
they were married for about a year.
Okay, so not too long. Could you imagine if you found out, like, Jason had another child?
So they met in 2004, they got married in 2006, and by 2007, she filed for divorce. So
That would be crazy information to just find out.
oh, it gets so much worse for her because not only did she not know that he had a son, but
He
apparently,
was still married.
no, he never married that lady. Apparently, one summer afternoon, his little boy slipped into a swimming pool while Bruce was watching him. He left the little boy to drown for so long that the toddler was starved for oxygen, to suffer catastrophic brain damage. The child would never be able to walk. He can never talk.
Did he actually see him fall in, or was this he was supposed to be watching him and never realized he wasn't swimming?
He was supposed to be watching him in the house, wasn't watching him. The toddler got outside and was drowning. His little boy is never going to live an independent life, a permanent, lifelong mistake. It was the kind of tragedy that a more sensitive man might have pushed to become more protective and like trying to make up for his mistake, but not Bruce. Instead of stepping up, he showed his true colors and ran out from his responsibilities. He never visited his son again. Like I told you before, he didn't pay child support and he left his ex to battle the courts just to.
Maybe it was a guilt thing. Not saying he's not still a piece of shit, but he's responsible for that. And I don't know how you could look at that kid and know you did this.
Well, at least help pay for his care because he needs round the clock care now because you didn't do your job as a father. It was your visitation. You were supposed to be watching him. You didn't.
I get it.
Anyway, and like I said, Sylvia didn't know about any of this when she married him, and Bruce never mentioned the boy, never spoke about the accident, never admitted that he abandoned his own son. And to Sylvia, it was as if that entire chapter of his life didn't even exist. But by then, the marriage was already in ashes.
Yeah.
And now she had to process the fact that the man she'd once called husband was capable of something so cold. The courts hit Bruce where it hurt most, his wallet. The courts ruled that Bruce owed Sylvia $10,000 in a divorce settlement and $1,785 a month in spousal support payments. Plus, he was ordered to pay Sylvia's attorney fees. It was a financial gut punch. And then, like salt in the wound, he lost his engineering job for falsifying his time cards.
Oh.
A man who always measured his worth in work and money now had neither. To Bruce, this wasn't just a financial burden, it was humiliation. He was a man who couldn't keep his marriage, he couldn't keep his money, and in his mind, he couldn't keep his dignity. He remained quiet, he remained polite, and he remained the kind of man you just don't notice. But secretly, Bruce was making his lists.
Checking them twice.
Yes. Circling maps, or writing out maps, drawing out maps, circling
There's
names.
a lot of maps in this.
Well, you done screwed me up. But Bruce was secretly making lists, writing names, and circling areas on maps. Sylvia's divorce lawyer was circled on the map, and on the list was his own mother, who had dared to take Sylvia's side during the divorce.
Oh.
Which tells me he must have been being a pretty shady sack of dog poo that his own mother.
Did his mother know about his son?
I didn't look into that one. Bruce's life was bending into something darker. His mind was boiling with rage. That rage would build into bullets, gasoline, and a Santa suit.
All right.
Instead of moving on, Bruce nursed his rage. He started buying weapons, multiple 9mm handguns, one at a time, spaced out so it wouldn't raise any red flags. Bruce wasn't just planning, he was preparing. He tinkered in his garage, building an improvised flamethrower out of pressurized tanks. He paid a craftsman to make him a customized Santa suit. While Bruce was plotting his revenge and stewing in his bitterness, the Ortegas were preparing for Christmas Eve, the way they always did, with food, music, and a house full of people. Bruce rented a Dodge Caliber. He packed it with guns, homemade incendiary devices, and ammunition. He built his disguise. He stood in front of a mirror and rehearsed, which I did do as like a slight eye roll that he practiced.
He's practicing.
And on Christmas Eve, while families everywhere were preparing for joy and togetherness, Bruce zipped up his Santa suit and drove with his arsenal of assault weapons towards Covina,
I assume he's going after his ex-wife.
Towards the Ortega family home, towards his ex-wife. The Ortega family home was the heart of the neighborhood, the kind of place where Christmas decorations spilled out onto the lawn and the warmth of inside could be felt from the sidewalk. On December 24th, 2008, about 25 friends and relatives gathered there. There was laughter, dancing, children tearing into early Christmas presents, and the smell of tamales and roasted meat filled the house. It was the kind of night Bruce hated most. A night that reminded him what he'd lost or what he truly never had. The Ortega Christmas party was filled with love. The house was alive with chatter. Kids ran through rooms, weaving between adults. Plates clattered in the kitchen. Someone put on music, holiday tunes blending with bursts of Spanish and English conversations. Neighbors could hear the buzz spilling into the streets. It was Christmas in Covina. The Ortegas were celebrating life itself. While the Ortegas were passing out gifts and opening presents, Bruce was sitting outside opening gun cases. While the Ortega family poured eggnog, Bruce was filling tanks with gasoline. While the Ortegas looked forward to midnight mass, Bruce was strapping himself into a Santa suit designed for slaughter. At 11:30 p.m., the party was at its peak. The kids were playing, the adults were laughing, and then the doorbell rang. The front door swung open. Standing there was Santa Claus. A big red suit, black boots, a white beard, and in his hand, not a sack of toys, but a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. Sylvia's 8-year-old niece ran to the door, excited to see Santa. Bruce raised up his gun and shot the little girl in her face. I'm Santa Claus. I'm Santa Claus.
I kind of hope you start doing sound cues now. Did any of the kids live?
Yeah.
I don't feel like you could do Christmas ever again.
Before anyone could process what was happening, he raised his gun again and continued to fire. The sound of Christmas music was replaced by rapid cracks of gunfire echoing down the halls. Sylvia Ortega was shot through the torso, immediately incapacitated. Alicia Ortega, Sylvia's 70-year-old mother, she was shot. Joseph Ortega, Sylvia's 79-year-old father, rushed to be by his wife's side, and he was shot multiple times in the chest and collapsed in place. Between the gunfire, a woman named Letitia, the mother of the 8-year-old girl who was shot in the face, managed to escape the carnage with her wounded daughter. Thankfully, the bullet had only wounded the side of the young girl's face. The mother and daughter made it to the neighbor's house where she called police and identified Bruce Pardo as their attacker. While Letitia was trying to get help for her family, Bruce was moving throughout the home. Bullets flew, casings clattered. At one point, Bruce knelt down to shoot a group of family members who dove under a table where they had once been playing cards. They were huddled together, terrified of the man who they once welcomed in his family. Bruce had another specific victim in mind. He knew he had already taken out Sylvia, but where was his other intended target? His own mother. She was supposed to attend the Ortega party, but she decided not to go at the last minute because she wasn't feeling well. Bruce didn't like the fact that his now ex wife and his mother remained close friends. Bruce shot target after target. He was moving room to room rapidly with multiple handguns. It was complete chaos. The shooting lasted only a few minutes. Bruce began spraying gasoline across the walls, not like dumping it out of containers. We're talking like Ghostbusters with their slime guns, and he was spraying fuel on
Oh.
the walls, the carpets, the furniture, on the bodies of his victims, some of which weren't even dead from their gunshot wounds. They were just simply injured and
Oh.
unable to
They're
move.
gonna burn alive.
Yeah. Bruce had to cut short his rampage when the fuel from his device ignited before he expected. It was probably set off from a pilot light or a candle. Within seconds, temperatures exceeded 2,500 degrees. The fire spread throughout the Ortega home in less than 5 minutes, with structural collapses beginning quickly after because of the accelerant used. Bruce suffered third-degree burns, so severe they seared the Santa costume to some of his flesh.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm glad he got burned.
Yeah.
A 17-year-old boy was upstairs using a computer when the gunfire began. Tragically, he was unable to escape from the upstairs and he died when the house exploded from the fuel vapors. When it was over, 9 of the 25 guests at the annual holiday bash, Bruce's ex-wife, her parents, her 2 brothers, and their wives, and her sister's 17-year-old son were all dead. Wooden beams had collapsed, plastic toys liquefied, and bodies began to fuse to the floor. In total, the entire massacre took around 10 minutes from the moment Bruce rang the doorbell to when he fled the burning home in his rented Dodge Caliber, leaving the Ortega house a gruesome scene of bullets, fire, and human remains. Bruce managed to change out of the Santa suit, minus what was fused to his flesh, before he drove to his brother's house 40 miles away and parked his rented car. He left the remains of the singed Santa suit in the car, but first he booby-trapped it with a tripwire set to ignite black powder and detonate several hundred rounds of ammunition if disturbed.
Ooh.
Then Bruce broke into his brother's house. He was badly wounded from the fire. He can't be on the run from police with burned, bloody limbs. I'm pretty sure that's going to raise a few red flags if anybody sees him. So it was time for Plan B.
Did his brother know, or he just busted in and they're not home?
They're not home. So it was time for Plan B. Bruce placed his gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. Bruce killed himself like the coward he was.
In his brother's house? Andrew, I'd be pissed at you.
Oh, I
Like,
would
more so than you slaughtering your ex's family, because I would want to disown you, but you go break into my house and kill yourself? Who wants to clean up that mess?
I'm going to go with he must not have liked his brother.
For sure. Like, what kind of asshole does that?
This feller, I just done told you.
Like, you were just in your car, guy.
Right?
And a rental. Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
I'd be fucking pissed. On a weird note, because I was sitting there thinking, like, the cost to fix all the damage of, like, whatever's blood soaked in wherever, assuming the bullet didn't lodge in his little weak brain. You think your homeowner's insurance covers that? Like, it was a flood, just not of water. There is damage.
I don't know.
Probably, I guess, if your deductible is like $1,000, it's probably not $1,000 worth of damage.
Well, it's probably pretty expensive because
Brains splattered everywhere.
well, it's bodily fluids, it's hazmat. I would assume it's more expensive, like mold remediation. I know blood and mold's
What?
not the same thing,
What?
but they can't just
Mm,
there are certain precautions and then disposal fees and mm,
mm.
I'm not a crime scene cleaner upper
Or a doctor.
or a proctologist. I know those are still doctors, but
Or a dentist.
that was not nice. Anyway,
Or a chiropractor.
okay.
A
There's a
pharmacist.
lot of things that aren't doctors.
Oh, a
Anyway,
plumber. A tree trimmer.
can I finish? By Christmas morning, Covina awoke to fire hoses, police tape, and a silence heavier than any carol. Neighbors described a scene of nightmares. Vigils and memorials formed, hundreds of mourners came out. Children witnessed the deaths of parents, aunts, uncles, and families were traumatized. When the fire finally choked itself out in the early hours of Christmas morning and the smoke cleared, what remained was devastation. All that was left of the Ortega home barely resembled a house. It was a blackened skeleton of a home and twisted metal. The roof had caved in, the walls buckled inward, and the air still carried that thick stench of gasoline, burned wood, and smoke. Fire crews and investigators moved carefully, step by step, into what was now a crime scene layered over a grave. The search wasn't fast. It couldn't be. The floor was littered with collapsed beams, scorched furniture, and melted ornaments. Every step was cautious. Beneath the ash could be a body, a memory, a life reduced to charred fragments. Every scoop of ash, every slab of concrete might conceal the remains of someone who just hours earlier had been laughing and exchanging gifts.
And they, at this point, when they're trying to piece together where the victims are and all that,
Mhm.
since the one lady and her daughter escaped, they know who did it. They just haven't found him yet.
Correct.
Okay.
13 in total survivors. In addition to 3 injured victims, there were 9 deceased family members. Most had sustained multiple gunshot wounds, some were engulfed in flames, and others suffocated from smoke inhalation. When investigators finally found Bruce, he had $17,000 in cash strapped to his legs with saran wrap,
What?
and he was wearing a girdle around his gut with a plane ticket to Illinois.
What was the girdle for other than was he body conscious?
I think so when he had that Santa suit custom made, he had it oversized. He had tucked the guns into the
Hmm.
inside of the Santa suit.
More like holsters.
Yeah, I think he was using the girdle to help hold some of
Not his fat end, but his ammo.
his weapons and his plane ticket.
Most people use a wallet.
So, hold on. An autopsy later revealed Bruce had cocaine in his system at the time of the attack and his death. He also had third-degree burns on his arms and legs. The house exploding and him being injured is probably the only reason he didn't go kill the attorney who he had just circled on the map. So I think he planned to go hunt down his mom and hunt down the attorney, and then he was planning to hop on a plane. But since he got burned,
Yeah.
he couldn't do that, so he decided to have a snack of a bullet. When a bomb squad tried to dismantle the booby trap of the Santa suit, the car exploded. Thankfully, no one was injured. Police later found another second getaway car, a rented sport utility vehicle outside the home of his ex wife's divorce attorney in nearby Glendale, packed with a spare fuel tank, maps, and clothing, and Christmas presents. So I don't know where he was headed to, but he definitely thought out every move that he was planning to make.
Disgusting.
He just didn't expect the flames to ignite as quickly as they did.
I wish they would have found him charred to the floor.
I wish the shit would have exploded before he killed anybody.
Well, fuck, man. I didn't know we were going with those options. Yeah, in that case, I wish he would have accidentally tripped in his Santa suit and shot himself on his way out.
In his penis!
Um,
Since he's got his gun stuck in his.
oh, okay. I was just. Alright.
Anyway. But for the survivors, there would be no trial, there would be no confession. They just had to deal with the devastation and destruction. On that Christmas Eve in 2008, which the media would name the Santa Massacre, 9 lives were cut short in the most brutal way imaginable, all gathered to celebrate the season and all taken by Bruce's rage. They were more than victims, they were parents, siblings, children, and friends. People who filled rooms with warmth, laughter, and tradition. Their absence left a hole not only in their family, but an entire community that felt the loss ripple through every holiday that followed. 13 children survived that night,
God.
carrying the memories no one should have to hold. Neighbors who saw the Ortega house as a beacon of life woke up to ash and silence, and every Christmas since, Covina remembers with vigils and prayers and with grief. It's easy when telling a story this dark to get lost in the violence, the fire, and the brutality of it. But it's important to remember that what matters most isn't how they died, it's how they lived, with family, with love, and with laughter. And if there's any life lessons, it's not about Bruce or his rage or the horror that he unleashed. It's about never taking for granted the people around us. So as you peek into your stockings or sing your favorite Christmas carols, remember, life is fragile, love the ones you're with, and tomorrow is promised to no one. Merry Christmas.
In a sick way, and only because I have to find
God.
the silver lining in all the things, and don't tweak this the way that you're gonna. But I feel like if you're gonna go out in a massacre with your loved ones, at least it was like during a happy time.
Yeah.
I know it's scarring for the survivors because that will be always marked with the horrifying memories of living through that. But at least it was like everybody was together and it was like,
Love.
yeah,
It wasn't like you're in the midst of an
of an
argument.
argument and like
Yeah.
somebody just said they're getting divorced. I mean, like it was, they were all together. And I hope that that's what's getting the survivors through it, is that the togetherness and the happy memories and all of that.
Yeah. When I read this and I saw that he just went through and just, ugh,
Yeah.
it's so sad. I couldn't imagine what those kids witnessed.
No.
And I don't want to say he aimed, but for 25 people that were in there, the majority of which were children, not one kid was killed. I realize he did shoot a couple of them.
Well, I
Uh,
feel like
like the
kids
one,
are the smaller targets, and then if they were scattered throughout like an area, it's easier to walk in. And like for our house, if you busted in the front door, the majority of the adults are going to be in the living room.
right, which is where the majority of them were found. So,
Yeah, his focus was the adults and
right.
cause as much bloodshed as he could, and then torch the place.
Which is really, really disgusting.
They didn't do anything. Not to say encourage people to kill their exes, but like
No, but he had a freaking hit list and he had his own mother and his and Sylvia's attorney on that list too. So,
I'm not surprised the attorney made the list.
right? Um, yeah, I feel like dad could have been on that could have done that at the time when they got divorced.
Yeah. Yeah, but they weren't married for very long, so
No, I'm surprised she got alimony.
well,
You know what I mean? Because I thought you had to be married for like 10 plus years in order to,
I don't know.
but I guess not.
I guess it's all what you agree to.
Yeah. But Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. In a week.
Yeah, and embrace your loved ones, because I think it's real easy to forget what people mean to you.
Yeah.
And it is crazy how quickly you can lose them. Thank you for listening to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Claire.
I'm Andy.
Follow us each week to get your fix of the atrocities that occur in true crime. And don't forget to tell people about us and rate us if you like us. But don't rate us if you didn't. Just change the channel.